My name is Riley. I'm 31, and for most of my life, I was the reliable one. The one you called when you screwed up, the one who'd quietly drain her savings to fix things, the one expected to just handle it. I used to think that's what family was. You show up, you support, you help. Eventually, maybe, just maybe, they'd see you. See the effort, see the sacrifice, see you. But I learned the hard way that some people don't want to see you if you don't fit the picture they have in their heads. They just want to use the frame you provide. Growing up, there was Olivia, the golden child. Everything she did was brilliant, adorable, destined for greatness. Then there was Mason, my younger brother, quiet, observant, often just trying to stay out of the crossfire. And then there was me, the responsible older sister. That title quickly morphed into the convenient scapegoat, the emotional dumping ground, and most frequently, the family bank. It wasn't always dramatic. Sometimes it was just quiet expectation. Like when Olivia maxed out every credit card in college, buying things she absolutely needed for her brand, and mom called, voice tight with panic because a debt collector called her. I drained my emergency fund, the one I was building to put a down payment on a tiny condo, and paid it all off. Olivia? She just sent a text with a party emoji and you literally saved my life all. No offer to pay me back, ever. Or the time mom forgot to pay the property taxes for a year, buried the notices, and then freaked out when the final warning arrived. She tried to blame it on a postal error and vaguely hinted that Mason should pitch in because he was home sometimes. I just quietly transferred the lump sum, plus penalties. Again, no real thank you. Just a sigh of relief and a muttered, "Well, you're the sensible one, Riley." That's what family does. For years, I kept showing up. I smoothed things over. I paid bills. I listened to endless dramas that somehow always required my practical or financial intervention. A few years ago, after a particularly nasty incident where I bailed mom out of a truly irresponsible financial mess that cost me dearly, putting a pause on plans to go back to school, I hit a wall. It hurt deep down, but it also woke me up. I started focusing on my own career, diving into real estate investment. It was slow at first, but I learned fast. I found a niche, made smart moves, and started building something for myself. Something they knew nothing about. This past year, my investments in a hospitality group that acquires and turns around struggling venues started paying off big time. One of the jewels in the portfolio, the one with the most potential and complexity, was Lake Ridge Manor. A stunning place with sprawling gardens, a beautiful lake view, and a reputation for lavish events. Olivia, meanwhile, got engaged to Ryan. He seemed fine. A bit bland, maybe, but harmless. Immediately, the wedding planning went into overdrive, plastered all over social media. The venue, Lake Ridge Manor, was central to her aesthetic. Every post featured it, tagged it, gushed about its exclusivity and their dream package. Despite everything, I genuinely wanted things to be okay. Maybe, just maybe, this wedding could be a fresh start. I offered a substantial wedding gift, covering the eye-watering cost of the top-tier photographer/videographer package Olivia was obsessed with, and putting down a hefty deposit for their honeymoon suite at a ridiculously expensive resort she'd bookmarked. It was thousands of dollars, but I could afford it now, and I thought it would show I was trying. Olivia's response was a cool scene and a short, "Okay, checks." No gushing, no real appreciation. Just acceptance of funds. I brushed it off. Maybe that was just her way. Then about 2 weeks ago, the call came. I was finishing up work, feeling pretty good about closing a complex deal. The phone rang, and it was Mom. Her voice was tight, strained, like she was holding something back but also eager to let it out. "Riley," she said, no greeting, just my name, sharp and cold. "About Olivia's wedding." I waited. "Don't even think about coming." The words hung in the air. My brain stumbled. "What? Mom, what are you talking about?" "I already sent the money for the photographer." "I don't care about that right now," she snapped, volume rising. "This is about the wedding. Olivia deserves to have her perfect day, Riley. And frankly, you don't fit. You'll ruin the photos." My chest felt tight. Ruin the photos? What? How would I ruin the photos? I was just planning to attend, sit quietly, maybe dance awkwardly for 5 minutes. Oh, stop it, Riley. She sighed, her voice dropping into that condescending, sickly sweet tone she used when she was about to deliver a truly nasty blow. You know what I mean. Your vibe. It's always so intense, so serious. You just look uncomfortable at these things. And honestly, after everything, Olivia just wants positive energy. People who look the part. I could hear muffled voices in the background. Then, clearer, Olivia's laugh, light and dismissive. Just tell her she can send a gift, Mom. A good one. She's still good for that. It was like a physical blow. All the years. All the times I'd prioritized their needs, their messes, their happiness over my own. All the money, the emotional labor, the swallowing of my own feelings. And it came down to, I didn't look the part. My vibe was wrong. I was fine as a walking ATM, but not as a guest in the photos. For a second, I couldn't speak. My ears were ringing. The silence stretched, and I could hear Mom breathing, waiting for me to get upset, to defend myself, maybe even to beg. But then, a strange calm settled over me. A cold, clear wave washed away the hurt. I wasn't a child begging for scraps of approval anymore. I was Riley, the one who built her own life, who solved impossible problems, who held quiet power they couldn't even imagine. A slow smile spread across my face. It wasn't a warm smile. It was the kind that promised consequences. Sure, I said, my voice perfectly even, light, almost cheerful. I understand completely, Mom. Wouldn't want to ruin anything for Olivia. Mom hesitated, maybe thrown by my lack of reaction. Well, good. Just make sure the gift is substantial. This wedding is very expensive. Oh, I'm sure it is, I replied. Don't worry about a thing. She hung up. No goodbye. I didn't waste a second. My laptop was already open. I logged into my bank account, found the transaction for the photographer/videographer and the honeymoon suite deposit. Click. Click. Reverse transfer. $12,800 flowed back into my account in moments. I took a screenshot. I opened my messages and sent it to Mom. My caption was simple. Cold. Deliberate. Taking myself out of the picture. Wouldn't want to ruin anything. No reply came immediately, but I knew she saw it. She always did. That was just step one. They still had no idea how deep this rabbit hole went. What they didn't know was that my investment in the hospitality group meant I didn't just own a slice of Lake Ridge Manor, I had authority. Significant authority. I had final sign-off on major event contracts. Yes, including wedding bookings. The moment I saw Olivia bragging about booking Lake Ridge Manor on Instagram months ago, I had a jolt. I double-checked my portfolio emails. Yep, there it was. Carson/Olivia wedding booking. At first, after the disinvitation, the raw, hurt part of me considered just canceling the booking immediately. Watching them scramble would be satisfying. But the strategic part, the part I'd honed building my career, knew that was too quick. Too easy. They wouldn't understand. They wouldn't feel it. They'd just blame me, call me petty, and scramble to find a backup. I wanted them to sweat. I wanted them to continue posting their countdowns, their dress fittings, their seating chart dramas. I wanted them to keep basking in the glow of their perceived perfection, completely unaware that the ground they were standing on belonged to the person they deemed unworthy of standing beside them. So I waited. I watched. I made a quiet call to Sarah, the main events coordinator at Lake Ridge Manor. Sarah was a pro. Sharp, efficient, seen it all. I introduced myself formally, explained my connection to the ownership group, and asked her to flag the Carson wedding file for my personal review. I told her to notify me directly if any issues arose, especially concerning payments or contract adherence. The contract for their dream package was ironclad, beautifully detailed, covering every contingency, except for one small, critical detail buried deep in the fine print. Full and final payment was required 14 days before the event date. If not received by the deadline, the booking was considered forfeited. Not eligible for a late fee. Not postponed. Forfeited. The wedding was in 16 days. The deadline was 2 days away. And as Sarah confirmed in a discreet email, The final balance was still outstanding. I didn't need to do anything yet. Just wait. The next few days were peaceful, almost unnervingly so. My phone wasn't buzzing with requests for favors or money. I focused on work, went to the gym, actually cooked for myself instead of grabbing takeout between family crises. It was the calm before a storm, but this time, I was the one who could control the weather. There were subtle attempts at contact, though. Not apologies or attempts to mend fences, of course. Aunt Claire, Mom's sister, sent a text, "Hi, sweetheart, thinking of you. Everything okay? Hearing about the wedding plans. So exciting but sounds stressful. Call me when you have a moment." A classic flying monkey tactic, fishing for information, applying soft pressure. I replied politely that I was busy but doing well. Mrs. Gable, an old family friend who loved gossip, left a voicemail wondering why I hadn't been at a recent wedding shower for Olivia, mentioning how disappointing it must be for me. I didn't call back. As the payment deadline loomed closer, Sarah emailed again. Professional as always, but I could sense her awareness. "Hi, Riley. Following up on the Carson wedding file as requested. Final payment not yet submitted. Sent 2 reminders to the client contact. Deadline is in 48 hours. Please advise on handling." I called Sarah back. "Sarah, thanks for the heads up. Just follow the contract protocol exactly. If payment isn't received by the deadline, the booking is forfeited. No exceptions. Please process it accordingly." Sarah paused. "Understood, Riley. Just, are you sure? It's quite a large event. They've got a dozen vendors booked, a live band, specialty rentals, talk of releasing doves during the ceremony." I allowed myself a small, humorless smile. "Doves. Of course. Perfectly sure, Sarah. Contracts are contracts. We've sent reminders. Any failure to meet the deadline is on the client." "Right. Okay. Will do then. The system will automatically flag it, and I'll send the formal forfeiture notice promptly after the deadline passes." I could have warned them. A simple text to Olivia, "Hey, just a heads up, looks like your final venue payment is due tomorrow." But why? They had made it abundantly clear I was not family. Not important enough to stand in a photo. Not worth a chair at the ceremony. I was just a convenient resource to be tapped when needed and discarded when not. Letting them face the consequences of their own negligence felt like the most logical, deserved outcome. It wasn't vengeance. It was finally stopping the cycle of saving them from themselves. On the morning of the deadline, I took the day off. I made a proper breakfast, read the paper, went for a long walk. I checked my email around noon. Nothing. No panicked call from Mom or Olivia asking about the payment they'd forgotten. Just silence. They were so caught up in their bubble of entitlement, so sure someone, probably me, would just fix it if there was an issue, that they weren't even paying attention to critical deadlines. Sarah emailed me that evening. "Carson wedding booking formally forfeited as of 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today per contract." At 7:18 p.m., my phone rang. An unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, it rang again. Same number. I picked up. "Hello. Hi, is this Riley?" The voice was frantic, breathless. "This is Chloe. I'm Rachel Carson's wedding planner." "Ah, Chloe." The poor soul caught in the middle. I kept my voice neutral. "Yes, this is Riley. Oh, thank God. Look, we're having a bit of a crisis with the venue. Lake Ridge Manor. There seems to have been some kind of terrible system error, or a bank glitch. The final payment didn't go through, and they've canceled the booking." I leaned back in my chair, twirling a pen. "No system error, Chloe. The payment deadline passed last night. Per the contract, the booking is considered forfeited." Silence on the line, except for her rapid breathing. In the background, I could hear muffled shouting, then a woman's voice, high-pitched and hysterical. "Olivia. But surely you can make an exception?" Chloe stammered, clearly under immense pressure. "This is a wedding. In 3 days. Everything is booked. Guests are flying in from all over the country. The dress is ready. The flowers are ordered." "Chloe," I interrupted gently but firmly. "I understand the situation. But the contract was very clear. The venue sent multiple reminders. Failure to pay on time results in forfeiture. We've been more than patient. but Olivia said she thought she was sure someone had handled it. Chloe blurted out, letting slip Olivia's casual disregard for the responsibility. My internal response was cold. Of course she did. My spoken response was calm. I'm afraid what the client assumed doesn't override the signed contract, Chloe. The date is now open. More panicked shouting in the background. I'll have to talk to Olivia again, Chloe said, voice trembling. The next call came less than an hour later. No number this time. It was Mom. Riley. What the hell is going on with Lake Ridge Manor? She shrieked the moment I answered, skipping any pretense of a greeting. Chloe just called. They said the wedding is cancelled because the final payment wasn't made by the deadline, Mom. I cut in, my voice steady. I didn't cancel anything. The contract was forfeited. It's standard policy. But they said it was because of you. That you had them cancel it. I happen to know the coordinator, yes. And I instructed her to follow the contract when she notified me the payment was outstanding. I didn't cancel anything. Your failure to pay did. A pause. A dangerous calm entered her voice. You knew. You knew the payment hadn't gone through, and you didn't say anything? You let this happen. Let what happen? You mean I didn't swoop in and cover for your mistake again? That I didn't remind Olivia to meet her own contractual obligations? My voice was gaining a quiet strength. Another beat of silence. Then, the ultimate emotional weapon. Do you really hate your sister that much? To ruin her wedding? No, I said slowly, letting the weight of the word hang there. I don't hate her. I just finally decided to stop letting all of you treat me like I'm disposable. You said I'd ruin the photos. So I took myself out of the picture. Permanently. You always have to make everything about you, she spat, the calm breaking. No, Mom. I replied softer this time, but with steel. You did. You made it about me the second you decided I wasn't worthy of a seat at your perfect wedding. I'm just following your lead. She hung up on me. Minutes later, a text from Olivia arrived. No greeting, no emoji. Just a raw accusation. You seriously couldn't have warned us? A second later, another text from her. Wow, you are a bitter little man. Yes, she used man. Classic Olivia, using whatever insult came to mind, even if it made no sense. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The venue was gone. Their picture-perfect dream had no foundation. Vendors were undoubtedly pulling out as news spread. The doves were staying caged. And they still had no idea just how completely I was in control. Because while they were scrambling, panicking, and blaming everyone but themselves, I was making a few more calls. The next morning, the flying monkeys were out in force. Aunt Claire texted again, more urgent this time, talking about family values and how hurt everyone was, urging me to reconsider. Mrs. Gable called, leaving a long, dramatic voicemail about the sheer embarrassment of the situation and how everyone was talking about it. I ignored them all. Mason, my younger brother, who usually stayed quiet, sent me a text. Heard things are messy. You okay, Riley? Mom's losing it. I replied to Mason, I'm fine. Better than fine. Just letting some chickens come home to roost. He replied quickly, figured. Honestly? Good. About damn time. His support, quiet as it was, meant more than any apology ever could have. That afternoon, I got a call from Ryan, Olivia's fiancé. He sounded exhausted, genuinely confused. Hey, Riley. Look, I know things are tense, but I just wanted to talk. Man to a person? Alone. I stayed silent for a moment, letting him squirm. Look, he cleared his throat. This wedding, it means the world to Olivia. To both of us. And this venue thing, it's insane. Is there anything you can do? Like, pull some strings? Get us back in. Ryan, I said, my voice calm. Did Olivia ever tell you I was paying for your honeymoon? Silence. Utter silence. What? He finally managed, sounding completely blindsided. Yeah, I continued. The resort package you guys posted about? The overwater villa? The private chef dinner you Instagrammed? That was my wedding gift. $12,800. I sent it 2 months ago. No, he said, voice barely a whisper. No, she never told me that. Of course she didn't, I said. Because then you might have asked why the person paying for your luxury honeymoon was being told she didn't fit the aesthetic and wasn't welcome at the wedding. She told me I'd ruin the photos, Ryan. So I took back the honeymoon funds. And now you're asking me to fix the wedding she got canceled by not paying the bill. Another long pause. I could practically hear him rethinking everything he thought he knew. I'm not trying to take sides, he said weakly. But Olivia is really stressed. This is her day. I almost laughed. Almost. Oh, I understand it's her day, Ryan, I said, my voice cold. I just don't care anymore. I hung up. 3 hours later, an email from Sarah at Lake Ridge Manor arrived. Subject: Update on Carson booking. She confirmed the official forfeiture notice had been sent. She also mentioned Olivia had called the venue directly, sobbing, claiming she was blindsided and calling the forfeiture unethical. Olivia demanded to speak to the owner. Sarah asked if I wanted to take the call. I replied to Sarah, Sarah, please inform Ms. Carson that the owner has reviewed the situation personally and confirms the booking remains forfeited per policy. There are no exceptions. Then I did one more thing. I logged into the back end of Lake Ridge Manor's public website. Under the events calendar or booking information section, I added a small, polite notice. Please note, Lake Ridge Manor is proud to host a private corporate event on wedding date, i.e., April 27th. Wedding bookings are not possible on this date. It wouldn't name names, but anyone desperately searching for a last-minute venue for that specific date would see it was unavailable for a wedding. I had just quietly extinguished any flicker of hope they had for a backup. I made one more call. To Jordan, a friend who runs a high-end corporate event planning and catering company. He owed me a significant favor from a complex deal I helped him navigate. Jordan, I said, I need a favor. Big one. Same day, same time, same venue as a certain canceled wedding. He was quiet for a second, catching on. Lake Ridge Manor? You're serious? Completely, I said. I need you to book a small, high-end corporate luncheon there. Say for about 20 people. On wedding date, starting around noon. He chuckled. You want me to steal their date? Not steal, I corrected, a smile in my voice. They forfeited it. I just need someone to use it. And here's the crucial part, Jordan. I need you to go all out on the presentation. And I need photos. Lots of photos. High-quality ones. Post them on your company's social media. Tag the venue. Use hashtags. Make it look like the most beautiful, successful corporate celebration of the year. Jordan was quiet again, sensing the layers of my request. Damn, Riley. You are cold-blooded. They told me I'd ruin their pictures, I said, the smile turning genuine now. So I made sure they didn't get any. All right, Jordan said, his voice full of admiration. Consider it done. We'll make it unforgettable. For everyone. Saturday arrived with the kind of weather brides dream of. Crisp, clear, perfect blue sky, gentle sunshine. I stayed in my apartment, made myself a gourmet coffee, and waited. The first signs appeared on social media around mid-morning. Distant cousins, former classmates of Olivia, people who weren't in the immediate loop. Posts popped up showing confused faces outside the locked gates of Lake Ridge Manor. Is the venue closed? Anyone know what's going on? Gates locked. Hashtag wedding mystery, hashtag help? More followed. Bridesmaids in full hair and makeup, huddled on the curb in expensive dresses. Groomsmen pacing awkwardly in rented tuxes beside parked cars. Photos of frustrated-looking vendors being turned away. They hadn't told anyone. They were so sure they'd fix it, so deep in denial. They'd left their entire wedding party and guest list to show up to a locked gate. Entitlement paralyzing basic communication. Then, around noon, the posts from Jordan's catering company started appearing. Photos of Lake Ridge Manor looking absolutely pristine. Elegant tables set up on the lawn, overlooking the lake. White linens, crystal glasses, artful floral arrangements. Waiters in crisp uniforms serving champagne. Hashtags. Hashtag corporate retreat, hashtag team celebration, hashtag Lake Ridge Manor, hashtag private event, hashtag luxury lunch, hashtag winning. And there it was. In the background of a shot featuring a stunning dessert display. Olivia's custom floral arch. The one she'd paid thousands for. It was now framing a table of mini cheesecakes and fruit tarts. and the custom wooden sign she'd commissioned from an Etsy artist, the one meant to say, "Our forever starts here." It was subtly flipped, and Jordan's team had added elegant lettering above it, "Success takes root here." I wish I could have seen her face. Around 2 p.m., Sarah called me. I answered immediately. "Riley," she said, barely suppressing a laugh. "It's quite a scene here. Guests are still showing up, some trying to argue with security. One groomsman actually tried to climb the side fence." "Please tell me that's a joke, Sarah." "Nope. Dead serious. Had to call site security to escort him off the property." She paused, then her voice softened slightly. "And the doves? They're still sitting on the curb in their crates with the handlers, looking very forlorn." I closed my eyes for a second, letting the absurdity wash over me. "Doves. Sarah," I said, genuine gratitude in my voice. "You've been incredible through all this." "I owe you." "You don't owe me a thing, Riley," she said warmly. "Honestly, this is the most memorable Saturday shift I've had in years. And those people, well, let's just say we've dealt with their type before." Calls started flooding my phone then. Mom, Olivia, Ryan, Aunt Claire. Missed calls stacked up. I let them ring. Instead, I opened the group text, the one Mom had created for family wedding planning months ago, where I'd been largely ignored but hadn't left. I typed 2 simple words. "You're welcome." Then I tapped Leave Conversation and blocked Mom, Olivia, Ryan, Aunt Claire, and Mrs. Gable. That night, Mason called. "Hey, Riley," he said, his voice soft. "Saw the posts. All of them. The gate. The corporate lunch. With the arch wow." "Yeah," I said. "I don't even know what to say," he admitted. "But I'm proud of you. They needed that. They really did." "Thanks, Mason," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "That means a lot." "They're not handling it well, by the way," he added. "Mom's hysterical. Olivia's raging 1 minute, crying the next. They're blaming everyone. You, the venue, the bank, Mercury in retrograde, probably." "Sounds about right." "They still think they're the victims," Mason said quietly. "They don't get it, do they? Why you did it." "No," I replied. "They probably never will. Because getting it would mean admitting they weren't the perfect family all along. That I wasn't the problem." "Well, I get it," Mason said firmly. "And you weren't. You never were." We talked for a long time that night. Not about the wedding disaster. Not really. About our lives, about work, about his plans. It was easy, genuine. A real conversation, with respect and affection. 2 days later, Mom showed up at my apartment. She pounded on the door, not knocked. I waited a minute, composed myself, then opened it. She looked rough. Her hair was messy, her eyes underlined with dried mascara, her clothes wrinkled. But her posture was rigid, her anger radiating off her. "You think you won?" she hissed, stepping forward like she might push past me. I didn't move, didn't give her an inch. "I know I did, Mom. I won my freedom. You humiliated your sister. You ruined everything." I looked at her for a long moment, seeing not just the angry woman, but the lifetime of dynamics that led to this moment. "She humiliated me first, Mom. You both did. 4 years. Every time you used me and cast me aside. Every time you expected me to fix things but weren't willing to see me. You thought I'd just keep taking it. Keep showing up, cleaning up, and staying quiet." She opened her mouth, ready to launch into another speech, another justification. "I bought the venue," I stated, cutting her off calmly. "I paid for the honeymoon. I covered your debts, Olivia's messes. I supported this family financially and emotionally when no one else did. And you erased me for optics. For a picture. So this time, you got erased from the foundation." She stood there, trembling with fury, speechless for perhaps the first time in her life. Finally, I added, voice soft but resolute, "You can tell Olivia I'm not angry. I'm free. That's a better gift than anything she registered for." And I closed the door. Gently. Months have passed. I haven't heard from Mom or Olivia. My life is quieter, less stressful, infinitely more peaceful. Mason and I talk regularly. Our relationship has grown into something true and supportive. I still own Lake Ridge Manor. Sometimes I visit, walking the grounds, seeing couples plan their happy days. I feel no malice, only a sense of profound detachment and satisfaction. People talk, of course. The story of the Carson wedding disaster made the rounds. The initial embarrassment and blame shifting eventually gave way to questions, whispers. Why didn't they pay? Were they in financial trouble? Why didn't the sister step in? And eventually, the truth, or versions of it, started to surface. The scapegoat sister wasn't bitter. She was just done. The golden child's perfect image wasn't real. It was built on borrowed money and discarded family. I didn't need a public declaration. I didn't need them to apologize or understand. I had my peace. I had my power. And for the first time in my life, I had a family I chose, starting with Mason, and the quiet knowledge that I had finally taken back the frame and filled it with my own picture. A picture of strength, freedom, and self-worth.